Hi, everybody. Welcome. We are so excited to have you here today. Welcome to Bluegrass Pride. My name is Justin Hiltner. I'm going to be telling you a little bit about our showcase today, but also just giving us time for folks to show up here at the live stream. If you're joining us via Facebook, welcome. We're so glad you're here. If you're joining us via YouTube or our website, thank you for joining us today on October 24th. I don't know what it looks like where you are. I am in Nashville, Tennessee, and it is gray and gloomy, and it feels like fall in good ways and in gloomy ways. So I'm glad to be sharing a little bit of my afternoon with you. If you're just joining us, my name is Justin Hiltner. I have the honor and pleasure of serving as chair of the board for Bluegrass Pride. We're a 501c3 charitable organization, and our mission is really simple. It's to uplift and create opportunities for LGBTQ folks in bluegrass, but also in old time, in string band music, really all American roots musics. And not only are we an organization that wants to actively uplift LGBTQ folks, we also firmly believe that the only way to queer liberation is through racial equity and racial justice in this country and Black liberation. And so not only are we a queer forward organization, we're also an anti-racist one. If you're here, we're so grateful that you're part of our community. We are doing these shows because it's a pandemic and because there's no other way for us to gather right now and for us to really see our mission through. Our mission not only being to uplift LGBTQ folks, but to bring other folks like you into the fold and into our community. If you're able, today's showcase is supported entirely by viewers like you and by members of Bluegrass Pride. We're asking for a suggested donation today to support not only Bluegrass Pride and the work that we do, but also our musicians. You can go to bluegrasspride.net/showcase to give. Bluegrasspride.net has all of your information that you need about Bluegrass Pride, who we are, what we do, and what we are planning on doing in the future, COVID or not. I'm really glad that we have this showcase that we're just starting. It's going to be a monthly series of where we're having these virtual shows and some conversation with artists who are part of the Bluegrass Pride family. If you know an artist, if you know a musician, if you know someone that needs to be involved, please help us spread the word. We are really trying to use this opportunity in the pandemic when we're all distant from each other and gathering in virtual spaces to reach people that maybe wouldn't have been able to show up in person for San Francisco Pride or for NC Pride at Night in Raleigh as part of our programming around IBMA, or at Nashville Bluegrass Pride, which we were planning on starting this year. So if you know people who need to be in this community, let them know, get them plugged in. We really want to have, we want to be a space where we can all gather like we are today. I don't want to, without much further ado, I want us to get to the focus of today's showcase. I'm really excited. I've known our guest for a number of years now, and have been really looking forward to getting this opportunity to chat and to hear some music. Carolyn Kendrick is not only a fiddler, she's a singer-songwriter, she's a multi-instrumentalist. She's been playing and performing for decades. You may know her music with Americana and folk group The Page Turners, or her solo album, her debut solo EP that she released earlier this year called Tear Things Apart, that she released on Valentine's Day. Another release that got sidelined by COVID. And so this opportunity today is even more important to us. Y'all help me welcome our guest today, Carolyn Kendrick.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, hi. I'm so glad you're here.
You're here. We're all here.
I know, we're all here. I love that, like, as I do more of these sort of virtual shows, like, we've been planning this for weeks and I still get so excited the moment it starts. I'm like, here we are. We're doing this.
I know.
How are you?
I'm good. I mean, I think we're all collectively probably past the point of like actually being okay.
Right. Yeah.
But
Mhm.
like in general, all things are well. Like I'm in a beautiful place. I'm safe. I've got a roof over my head. I'm talking to you, which is really, really great. And so yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, an all things considered is kind of a permanent asterisk to the how are you doing? It's such a loaded question. And it feels like if you answer, oh, I'm doing good, then you aren't acknowledging everything that's going on in the world. So like there's always like the caveat.
Right.
But we are doing good because we're sharing music when something that's very rare in the pandemic. I wanted to start by talking about your EP because it's, it's something that you were planning on touring with, planning on bringing to people, planning on like putting it in their hands at the record table.
Mhm.
And now you've had a year of kind of staying in place, staying in place, sheltering in place. And so I kind of wanted to ask you, like, how have you personally pivoted from having an EP came out in February and then March kind of shut everything down? And maybe, because the exciting thing about putting songs out into the world is seeing them kind of create a life of their own. So how has that happened through the pandemic, despite not having those in-person interactions with people?
Ooh, great question. Great question. Um, yeah, I think that to be completely honest, like you've probably felt this too in the past. Like by the time that the album actually kind of comes out, like it kind of you're inherently kind of in a different phase of life,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like all of the songs that I wrote for this EP, I wrote last year. So or in like early 2019, late 2018.
Yeah.
And so by the time that it came out, I was like, I feel like I'm kind of a fundamentally different person. And usually when you're on the road, you can kind of change those songs to fit who you are at that moment. And so instead of doing that and like playing them every night, I kind of just dove right into doing different musical projects and to
Hmm.
doing like to doing the next thing, to figuring out like, okay, well, things are different now. We're in a different time. What am I doing next? And I still play these songs, and love them very much. But I feel like these songs are written by somebody else, not necessarily by me. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. And it's something that I think this year has really demonstrated in how, since the pandemic shutdown, there was kind of a lull when everybody was pushing their releases and pushing what they were doing. And then there
Mhm.
was suddenly this booming when everybody started producing the stuff that was new that they had made during the pandemic.
Totally.
And like um, watching people move from what they were so deeply invested in immediately to the next thing. It's interesting, but also, like, I don't know, it makes me think about how your record is kind of this melting pot of genres. It's like
Mhm.
bluegrass, it's like old time, it's singer-songwriter, and not singer-songwriter necessarily kind of in the Nashville way, where like they're really personal, really like craft kind of written songs. And I
Mhm.
wondered how, especially since you're talking about the songs are kind of older now and you're a different person now, like how has the music changed? What sort of music are you making now, and like genre wise, and how does that sort of feel the same or different from the EP Tear Things Apart?
Totally. Yeah. I feel like the music that I'm creating now, uh, well, I have found that that this year has been very good revealing where your priorities are and what you actually
Yeah.
like doing.
Yeah.
And so when I pick up my fiddle, I feel the absence of people. Like I
Mm,
feel like I'm so used to playing fiddle for people, with other
yeah.
people and things like that. And so when I play my fiddle, I've really had to kind of like change my mindset about it, thinking about like, okay, I'm not supporting somebody else now. This is to like fill whatever well is going on inside of me. And
Yeah.
I think guitar sort of is a little bit easier to do that in the first place because guitar, like you're naturally kind of accompanying yourself. So I
Hmm.
have been playing a lot more guitar lately as well. So
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I know exactly what you mean. As a banjo player, like you realize when you aren't playing with other people that the instrument, the sonority of it is completely different. Like, and for me, it's really palpable because banjo doesn't have sustain at all. And like the fiddle is such a sustaining instrument, it
Right.
really changes your entire way of viewing how you play. And then when the structure around you goes away, it's like,
Hmm.
what's left, and
Yeah.
then you have to kind of carve it out for yourself. But that's
Yeah.
kind of how I feel you write songs anyways, and I feel like that probably comes from you being a multi-instrumentalist and not just writing on guitar, or not just writing on piano, like really classically songwriting instruments. Do you think that's probably the case?
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think also I will definitely credit the way that, or maybe credit's not the word, but the way that I play music is very much informed by being in a duo for such a long time.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You really have to fill up this space, and you have to make sure that when it's only two instruments, it's like there's only so much you can hear of that before getting bored. So you kind of have to naturally think about, like, okay, like, how is the next thing gonna service the song and then also keep us
Yeah.
all interested.
Yeah, and also, like, as musicians, like, we're hearing the full arrangement of a song in our heads, especially as songwriters, whether we're playing that full arrangement on stage at a given time or in the studio. Like, we still feel like, I don't know if this is the case for you, but when I write a song and I hear like a chamber orchestra come in towards like the end for a big, if I'm playing it on stage solo, I still am picturing that
Totally.
vibe,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I hope one instrument is going to translate this.
Right, right. Yeah, absolutely. I think that banjo actually does do that very well. Like, I don't know if banjo has this reputation, but I do think that the way that you play and a lot of banjo players that I respect really have a good way of making that fill out in a really
Hmm.
interesting and orchestral way.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to, and it's kind of why roots music is so resonant with so many people, is watching people interact with their instruments in a way that is just unique to them, and watching people like change their instruments for contexts or for art or for dynamics, and not just play it straight up and down traditional. It's one of my favorite things about it. Now, you obviously, we were talking about like this year of touring and activity being taken away from you, but obviously that doesn't mean you're not working. You are music directing for a podcast right now. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I have been producing and I'm also the music director for this great podcast called Why Are Dads, and it's basically a film uh, critique podcast.
Cool. Yeah.
Each week they choose a different pop culture movie. Last week it was Angels in America, and this week is going to be Terminator 2, which were both beautifully gay films. And and so each week I write the music for it, and I do all the there's like a I do a sound collage at the beginning of it. But it's been really, really fun to work music into a totally different medium, and
Oh, I bet.
yeah, and learn about recording and learning about, it's just a totally different world.
Oh, yeah. And producing music on a weekly deadline is completely different than any other. And even it's like so good to just flex those muscles of
Mhm.
oh, I can't, like, it just changes your idea of what perfect is or isn't when you're
Ooh,
working on a
yeah.
deadline like that, right?
Yes,
It's really
absolutely.
helpful.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I've been thinking about this. Like, this is probably how all of my friends who are like you, who are musicians and writers, like when you have that, yeah, it's just such a
It
different.
is. And it's not like you've immediately realized like, oh, right, if I'm doing it this frequently, it doesn't matter as much. It's just you realize that like the what listeners take away from the music is completely different than what you take away from it, and that's okay. And like you kind of lean into that,
Yeah,
especially when you're working on a deadline.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
but
yeah.
we
Sorry.
should get to some. We should get to some music.
Mhm.
We're gonna come back and we're gonna chat again. But the whole point here is to hear some wonderful songs from our wonderful Bluegrass Pride friends, folks. I hope that you are as excited for this as I am. Carolyn Kendrick, why don't you take it away for us?
Sure. Well, I think I'm actually gonna do something actually bluegrass to start with. Um, and yeah, I think I'm gonna do a little one called Reuben's Train. All right. There are a lot of really great versions of this, but I particularly am fond of the Doc Watson version. Oh, Reuben made a train. He set it on the track. He laid it out to God knows where. And it slowly all night. Set it out to God knows where. sun's right, I'll see my man tomorrow. I'm 500 miles away from home, and it's only home. 500 miles away from home. And I'm gonna get myself a blade and lay Reuben in the shade, 'cause I'm starting me a graveyard of my own, and it's me, oh my, starting me a graveyard of my own, and it's me, starting me a graveyard of my own. All right, now we're going. Hi Brian, it's so nice to see you. Nice to see everyone in the comment section. Apologies, just gonna switch over to guitar now. Here, I'm gonna move this a little bit quicker, or closer rather. Alrighty, well now we're gonna switch things up a little bit, and I think we're gonna move over to some music from the EP. And yeah, so like Justin said, I released an EP on Valentine's Day of this year called Tear Things Apart, and it was incredibly fun to make. I made it in Nashville, and yeah, I'm going to do the title track from that record now. This one's called Tear Things Apart. All right. I like to tear things apart, build them right back up again. I like the feel of the hammer and nails in the palm of my hand. And it don't matter if I do the same thing over and over again. I like to tear things apart and build them right back up again. I like to spill the salt straight from the shaker. I like to feel it fall to the kitchen floor to give me something to work towards. And it don't matter if it's bad luck for years, if I throw some over my shoulder. I like to spill the salt straight from the shaker. Ooh. You like to tear things apart, watch me build them up again. You like the feel of keeping me from leaving the palm of your hand. And it don't matter if you squeeze too tight, can't let any fresh air in. like to tear things apart, then wonder who broke them. You like to tear things apart, then wonder who broke them. Ooh, ooh, all right. Oh man, this is really fun. It's always like doing live streams just by your lonesome can also like feel a little bit like you're talking to a wall, and so I'm so glad that we're doing this with Justin because it really makes it feel a lot. It feels like just like a regular show, like we're just hanging out. All right, well, I think I'm going to do one more, and then maybe Justin and I will chat a little bit more. This is one called Mr. and Mrs. Walker Clay. This February, when I was driving back from Folk Alliance, which is actually the last time I saw Justin in real life, I got stuck in, where did I get stuck? In Arkansas, and it was just one of those things where like my car broke down, needed to have some work, but then it was what's the big football thing? Super Bowl. It was a Super Bowl. Shows how much I know. So it was a Super Bowl, and my car broke down, so nobody was working. I couldn't get anybody to work on it, and so I just hung out in this La Quinta for a while, and then I went to the Cracker Barrel right next door, and I met this really lovely couple, and their names were Mr. and Mrs. Walker Clay, and they just had this really sweet story, so I wrote this song for them. She was particularly articulate. He was everything a woman would want to get. They met in the spring, yeah, sure thing. By June she had a diamond ring. So they drove downtown to fill out a form to officially say, I'm forever yours. In the pencil pusher said, Happy wedding day, presenting Mr. and Mrs. Walker Clay. And she said, honey, I'm in it for the long haul. Honey, I know we got the drive. Even when we're running on empty, I guarantee I'll love you the rest of my life. Love you the rest of my life. So she worked for a while at the 5 and dime, saved all her pennies so one day they could retire. But none of us can defeat wanderlust, so she thought of a little family business. She said, hear me out, we could drive a truck, drive as a team, and rent out our service. We'll hit the road, shipping freight and cargo. We'll see Oklahoma, California, Colorado, Ohio. Oh, when he said, honey, I'm in it for the long haul. Honey, I know we got the drive. Even when we're running on empty, I guarantee I'll love you the rest of my life. Love you the rest of my life. So they spent their lives on long highways, getting passed on the left by new Chevrolets. For red, for high, by hour, by day, call Mr. and Mrs. Walker Clay. Oh, and they said, honey, I'm in it for the long haul. Honey, I know we got the drive. And even when we're running on empty, I guarantee I'll love you the rest of my life. Love you the rest of my life. Oh, I'll love you the rest of my life.
Oh my gosh, so good. That was so excellent. I just had to write down that line that just went by, passed on the left by brand new Chevrolets, just like the idea that like Mr. and Mrs. Walker Clay are so happy to go at their own speed and let life pass them by. It was like such a beautiful way of communicating that. I was like so struck by that line.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I'm like, oh, gotta get things done, and the idea of just like chilling out is really appealing.
Right? Oh man, it's like the takeaway for me from the pandemic is that I don't want to have to like be rat racing my whole life. Like I want to work to a point where I don't have to. And like and I feel like as young people and especially like our generation, like the gig economy grew up out of our generation for a reason. Like we hustle for a reason and teaching ourselves to not is really hard.
It's really hard. Yeah, like pretty much everything is incentivizing you to, I mean, yeah, there's just, when you have no safety net, it's a little hard to not
Exactly.
to not do that, especially like, I mean, yeah, that's why it's so important to have healthcare that's like not tied to a job,
Yeah, and I don't think that people realize that this pandemic is actually the first time many musicians in this country have had a safety net, and then that safety net has been pulled out from under them. And that's why Bluegrass Pride is really focusing on making work opportunities for musicians this year because many of our musician friends, and I'm sure this was probably the case for you as well, like were making more money when they were able to get unemployment than they were on the road last year this
Yeah,
time.
totally. Absolutely.
Like, what if we were, as a culture, what if we decided to prioritize art and creatives and give them a social safety net all of the time and not just when there's a life-threatening pandemic?
Yeah, yeah, that would be pretty sick, I think. Like that'd be pretty cool.
It would be. We could get sick, for
Yeah,
instance.
you could get sick and not feel, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe we should just segue this to our portion. This is the get out the vote portion of the of the set. If you
yes.
haven't voted already, please make a voting plan. Please vote. Early voting is open in most states right now. Mail-in voting is available in most states. Please, please, please vote.
Yeah.
You can't call yourself a community member of Bluegrass Pride and not also show up. Not only to vote, voting is one step. There are many other ways that we can show up to make our reality more just and equitable for everyone, especially working musicians who are queer and Black, Brown, Indigenous, and Asian working musicians. I did want to ask you, since this is a Bluegrass Pride event, like what does Bluegrass Pride mean to you specifically? And what, I don't know, like why do you want to encourage our viewers not only to donate and show up and view this, but also like be participants? Like, what does it mean to you? Like, what's
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. I mean, I adore this community so much. I
me
mean,
too?
this it's basically, I mean, there are incredible people across the bluegrass and Americana and roots old time spectrum in general, but bluegrass has like a really interesting background and culture that can sometimes, as we all know, not be very inclusive. And so the
Right.
fact that there is this space now makes it just so much more. I don't know, I get a little like choked up even just thinking about
I
it.
do
Like
too. Yeah.
just knowing how many times like that there just is a place for people to go to feel comfortable, to be able to connect with people. The fact that you guys are providing, not only community services, but also, gigs like this and stuff like that. Like it's so important, and it's just so important. So what it means to me is being able to have a place that I feel comfortable in the bluegrass community, where otherwise I don't know if I would feel comfortable all the time.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. It's just, I mean, not to be biased, but like everybody that I know that is in Bluegrass Pride and is involved is like very interesting and like very fun, and like it's a great community of people.
I agree. I think for me, it's really important to have a space like Bluegrass Pride to accomplish exactly what you're talking about. There are so many people in this country and around the world who consider themselves fans of bluegrass until they are told for one reason or another that they aren't. Like, no, the music that you're listening to isn't bluegrass, or no, bluegrass is just for straight white Southern Christian men, or whatever. Like just having a space where once the door is cracked open and somebody is like, I think I like this thing,
Hmm.
that the answer is immediately yes, and you are a part of this, and not, well, only if you're good enough, only if you meet our
Right.
standards, only if. And I think that that's something that is so rare in across roots music communities, not just unique to bluegrass, but
Hmm.
it's why it's so important not only that we create these spaces like this show today, but also that you folks who are watching donate to support Bluegrass Pride. The link is on the screen now. We are especially in need of monthly donors who understand that like ongoing giving helps us craft budgets that uh, better indicate what we're able to execute on a quarterly and yearly basis. So if you're able to give monthly, we would so appreciate it. Those are the people that we need badly right now. But any gift helps. We know that this pandemic is happening, and financial duress is writ large right now in this country. 11 million people still unemployed. So if you're able to give, please do. We're really trying to keep musicians employed, especially queer musicians. It's starting to get into. For some people, it's been spooky season since August, but we're a week away from prime spooky season. And
Yeah.
even as somebody who grew up homeschooled and was never allowed to celebrate it, I felt like it would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge the gay holiday
Yes,
on this
absolutely.
stream. So
Hmm.
how are you celebrating this year? Are you like planning any like social distancing Halloween things? Are you just planning like Snuggie and movies all night long? Like what's the plan?
Yeah. I actually am planning a socially distanced thing, and I'm not usually the planner,
Mm,
but I'm planning a bonfire because I live on 5 acres, and it's easy to be socially distanced. It's easy to be
yeah.
outside, and I've been renovating this house that I'm in right now. It's an 1830s farmhouse, and we have
Oh my
so
gosh.
much crap that we need to burn. So we're gonna have a huge bonfire. Yeah, so that's the plan.
Oh, that's perfect. My plan is like hot apple cider and like I haven't decided what. Okay, so here's the big question.
Mhm.
What's your favorite Halloween movie? Like, what's your
Mm.
go-to
Yeah.
extra bonus points the gayer the movie is?
Okay. Okay. So I've been thinking about this, and my first feeling was Young Frankenstein. Mel
Mm,
Brooks's Young
yeah, yeah,
Frankenstein, and then
classic.
I was thinking about it more, and then I was like, Hocus Pocus is
Oh, of
also
course. Yeah,
great.
you can't go wrong. That trifecta of actresses is the gay. I mean, the subversive quality of Young Frankenstein is very queer, lowercase and
Mhm.
capital,
Yeah.
but I feel like Hocus Pocus definitely takes the trophy.
Yes.
I was gonna say Clue, but now I'm realizing that maybe I want to say Knives Out would be a good.
Oh, yeah. That's
Like,
perfect.
I just want to see Chris Evans in that sweater some more.
He really messes up that sweater in a beautiful way.
He
Lots of
really
great
does.
sweaters. Yeah.
That's I mean, I'm realizing the symmetry of those 2 choices too, like
Mhm.
Clue and Knives Out are kind of the same film and different generations in a different way.
Yeah.
Um,
Very true.
Also growing up playing Clue, I always wanted to be Miss Peacock or Miss
Mhm.
Scarlet,
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
hashtag gay. Anybody surprised?
Maybe that could be one of your maybe if you have a costume for this year, you could be one of them.
You know, I only ever dressed up for Halloween once, and I went as the, Snapchat puppy dog face filter, and I just
Ooh.
stuck the
Yeah,
things to my face.
that's good. That's really good.
What's your go-to uncostume? Like, if you have to wear a costume that's not really a costume.
Oh, Well, I went 1 year as a collard green, and I just and I just wore all green with, like, a red hat or something, and it just was like a collard. It was like a
That's so
collard
good.
green.
That's so good. I want there to be a couple's costume that's collard greens and turkey neck now. So,
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be so good.
can you imagine? That's how you can tell I've lived a decade in the South. The first thing I think of when you mention a collard green Halloween costume is, oh, a turkey neck Halloween costume.
Yeah, you're like, "I'm definitely from Nashville."
Well, we should get back to some more music, but I did want to ask you, I'm hearing tell that you have a new duo project in the works with another friend of Bluegrass Pride,
Yeah.
Sam Armstrong Zickafoos. Do you want to give us any teasers about that?
Totally. So we had been we had been planning on making this record, recording it in California. Um, like, and the plan was to do it in August, and now we're like, okay, maybe we'll do it in here. But we have
Right.
all these really fun demos ready, and we're going to be making a record pretty soon now.
That's so exciting. Well, you guys will have to come back and do a duo show when that's possible.
Yes, that would
When
be
we're
great.
able to do that, that would be so great. That sounds awesome, and obviously, I can't wait to hear that. Do you want to play some more songs for us?
Yeah, sure. How
All right.
much? Are we're pretty much on time?
Yeah, why don't you give us the let's stick with the plan for now. I think we're doing great on time. Folks, if you haven't given already, please do. The link is right here on screen, but I'm going to leave y'all now in the capable musical hands of which way am I gesturing? I don't know.
You're
Carolyn
I
Kendrick.
Perfect. Thanks, Justin. Whew, all right. Well, I think I'm gonna do my sad song. Well, I have many sad songs. I've written lots of sad songs. That's how you process it all. But I'll do one now that I wrote from the perspective of a friend of mine who was trying to break up with their partner, but then they kind of just couldn't. And it was one of those things that it was like obviously not working and not good for either of them. But sometimes the right thing is the hard thing. And so I wrote this song for them. It's called Stick Around. Just a little longer, and I'll know how to get 'em out. Just a little longer, and I'll know how to say the words that stumble around my head. When I get sad, please stick around. Oh, I think I'm actually going to change my mind, you guys. I cannot remember the second verse of this song, and we're just going to change course. Sorry about that. I think I'm actually going to do one that Justin actually performed on Dolly Parton's America. I recorded a version of Silver Dagger on this EP, and I think I'm going to do that instead. Don't sing me love songs, you'll wake my mother. She's sleeping here right by my side, and in her right hand lies a silver dagger. She says that I can't be your bride, 'cause all men are false, so says my mother. They'll tell you we can't love in lies. Then the very next evening, oh, they'll court another. They'll leave you alone to pine and sigh. 'Cause all men are false, so says my mother. They'll tell you again, love and lies. Then the very next evening, oh, they'll court nothing. They'll leave you alone, a pine and sigh. Oh, 'cause my daddy is a handsome devil. He's got a chain 5 miles long, and on every link, oh, a heart just dangle of another maid he's loved and wrong. So go court another tender maiden in hopes that she will be your bride, for I've been warned. Oh, and I've decided that I'll sleep alone all of my life. So don't sing me love songs, you'll wake my mother. I love that song. I love the way that Justin plays it too. And also Dolly, and also Joan Baez. That's a really classic one. All right. Okay, I'm just going to do 2 more, I think. I'll do this one. Let's see. What are we going to do? Let's see. Kind of changed up my plan a little bit. Let's do this one. Let's do this one called Come With Me. This is one that I wrote, and it's also on the EP. Sorry, something's up with my capo. And yeah. This is one when you ever see someone across a room and you're like, I know something's going to happen with this person. I know where you're I know that there's some connection, but I don't know exactly what's going to happen yet. Look at you, look at you in your Bowie t-shirt. I want to see it off you. Oh, and I don't know you, and daylight's on its way. You don't know me, we don't have to stay long, but come with me, come with me, come with me, come with me. I want you to see it off you. 'Cause I've been craving something savory. Oh, and I don't know why we want the things we do. I don't know how. I think I'm supposed to be with you, be with you, be with you, be with you. this is what we get, so don't waste a minute staring down the calendar, measuring the diameter between reality and paper. Oh, I'm a metaphor, you're like a simile. I'm a healthy pour, you're like the glass that holds me, holds me, holds me, holds me. Won't you hold me, hold me? Ooh, Whew. All right. I'll just do a little quickie to finish up. It's been so nice being here. This is a fiddle tune that I wrote at Black Pot last year. And Black Pot's in Louisiana, and we're drinking a lot of daiquiris, and me and some pals wrote this together. And so this one's called the Daiquiri Itch. All right. All right. Oh.
That was so good. I am sure Kara can attest that when you started hitting those microtones, I started feeling it in my liver a little bit, just like, oh, it hurts so good. Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's the Daiquiri Itch.
Yeah, maybe that is. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
The
Also,
way
it just makes me really have an itch for a daiquiri because the last trip I took before all of this was to New Orleans, where we saw each other, like you mentioned. Got to like room with Kara, ate my body weight in beignets, and now I'm just like, will I ever get to go anywhere again?
I know.
And like drink a daiquiri in the street.
Right.
Although pandemic, carry out liquor laws now.
I will say that has
Silver
been a
lining.
plus. That has been a plus. Yeah.
I also am thank you for doing Silver Dagger. That was serendipitous. I love that song. So good.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I love your version of it. And
I love your version of it. So
yeah,
great.
yeah, man.
Um, Thank you so much for being here. This has been so great, y'all. If you haven't given already, thank you so much to everybody who has given. We would love to move the needle a little more. So if you haven't given already, please do. The link is right there. We've got quite a few people still hanging out. I wonder if we should. I wonder if do you think this? Do you think the Bluegrass Pride audience? How about this? If all of you in the audience will go donate right now, we'll do an encore. How about that?
Okay,
And we'll
sure.
have to do the honor system because I have no way of knowing if people are actually going to donate, except I
Mhm.
know that you guys are members of this community and you understand that like you are an active part of the success of Bluegrass Pride. So I know you're
Yeah,
donating.
yeah,
Carolyn Kendrick, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for being a part of Bluegrass Pride.
yeah.
I've enjoyed this. I know our
Yeah.
audience has.
I have very much enjoyed this. This has been so great. It's been really lovely.
Well, I'd like our audience to know that we're going to be doing this monthly, so they should watch for updates. They can join our newsletter. They can check us out on Facebook. We have a Facebook group as well,
Mhm.
Twitter and Instagram. Follow us wherever. We'll be letting you know when shows are happening, and we can let you know directly to your inbox too if you sign up for our email newsletter. I'm going to get out of the way and let Caroline Kendrick finish out our show with another song. Carolyn, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your music. Thank you for being a part of our community. And I hope that I hope you have a great Halloween bonfire and that we see each other sooner rather than later down the line because
Yes,
it's been too long.
absolutely. I know it has been far too long, far too long.
All right, what are you going to leave us with?
That's a great question. Uh, let's do. Let's do. I think I'll probably do this one. I'll do this one called Little Lori.
That
It's
sounds great.
classic.
Well, take it away. Thank you so much. Everybody, donate.
Yeah. All right. Bye, Justin. All right. Well, thanks all for hanging out. I can't really see the comments right now, but I love y'all that are watching and love Bluegrass Pride. And yeah, just happy to be here. Little Lori got her dancing shoes. Little Lori got the rhythm and the blues and the whoos and the us. Knows what she wants, know that she doesn't want me. Little Lori's the finest gal in this town. Little Lori knows just how to knock me down night after night. I cry and I cry, just wanna be her guy. So I said, hey there, sugar babe, don't you think it's mighty strange you're dancing all alone? Cause I'm a 2-7 love, making heartbreaking legs, shaking man out to the bone. Little Lori, didn't like that much. She spun me around and said, keep your mouth shut, dancing and singing. Independent women like me don't need your opinion. Well, I looked around, what did I see? Lori and my best friend dancing next to me. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4. I'll find another girl on the dance floor. Little Lori got a sister named Jane. Thanks to the tango, but she brings me lots of pain and sorrow, like there's no tomorrow. But I guess I'm to blame. So I said, hey there, sugar babe, don't you think it's mighty strange you're dancing all alone? Cause I'm a 2-7 love, making heartbreaking legs, shaking me down to the bone. Hey there, sugar babe, don't you think it's mighty strange you're dancing all alone? Cause I'm a 2-7 love, making heartbreaking legs, shaking me down to the bone. Little Lori got her dancing shoes. Little Lori got the rhythm and the blues and the whoos and the us. Knows what she wants, know that she doesn't want me. And I know that she doesn't want me. And I know that she doesn't want me. y'all. Thanks for donating. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being my friends.